Look at this. I got headphones on. I got a mic going. Baby.
If
Huh?
only people could see you now.
Hey, no video. We've gone through this before.
All right,
No
all right,
video.
all right. Welcome to This Commerce Life. This is a podcast aimed at small, medium entrepreneurs focused on commerce. I'm Phil, your host, and Kenny, your co-host, will join us as well. And we're going to talk to you about the world of retail and commerce and how things are changing in the world.
I baked a carrot cake today.
Oh,
Nice.
And I am eating a good portion of that of that cake.
It's vegetables.
I'm the major shareholder, so to speak.
It's okay. You're getting your vegetables. It's good.
Yeah, I'm eating my vegetables.
Oh,
They're in the form of a cake, but they are like there. And
I tell my
at least
son that.
it has the look of the color of a carrot. So that's
Well, then
good
it's a
enough.
vegetable.
That's a vegetable.
I tell my
Oh
son
my
sometimes
God.
I'll have pie in the morning for breakfast. He goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "It's like toast.
Yeah.
There's the crust that's made from flour, like bread, and a jam is made with the apples and stuff. It's toast. Same.
Same.
Listen.
Yeah, it's the same.
Same.
Listen,
Same,
this
same.
podcast needs to last. So, like, if you kill yourself eating
Kill
pie in the
myself.
morning,
I say not every morning. If I have it, though, it's acceptable. It's like toast.
You
Same,
only
same.
live once, Phil. I mean, you
Exactly. You got to enjoy
You need
food.
to bring. You need to bring that.
No,
That
I
life
have
too.
my share of eating too.
I think it's like
we're
toast.
we're fellow diners, so we
Exactly.
love food.
The three of us love food.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh! You know, when we get out of this and the three of us get together to eat, whew,
Oh,
Oh,
it's gonna be
mama.
nice.
it's gonna be
nice.
great.
That would be amazing. I'm looking forward to having those opportunities again. I think it's almost like there's going to be a little bit of readjustment because I think we've lost some of those social skills. Well, how do
I don't think you're
make a
wrong. I
reservation?
think
How do you?
it's not just even because we're still doing that in the West. Like you guys have really been locked down. Like we can still go outdoor patios, right?
Oh, do you?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. I mean we were indoor dining until a month ago.
Oh,
So we've never been in the situation you guys have, but you do lose. You would go with the 4 or 5 couples, and you'd have to like small talk, or you'd have you do your group things. Like now you're going with 4 people. It's so many. Typically, it's couples. Like it's 2 guys, 2 girls. It's the whole thing is different, and then you're not even going out that often anymore. Like we're going out probably once every 2-3 weeks. You guys not at all. I get it, but it's
I I think that the easiest way to get through this will be, I think the analogy I was thinking about was when Facebook bought WhatsApp. Do you remember that? It
Yeah.
was like probably 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And WhatsApp had been super steady, and then I think 2 weeks after it, I don't think it had anything to do with it, but they had an outage for something like 5 hours of WhatsApp time, and we were laughing because we thought maybe what they did is they saw the checks they were getting from Facebook, and then got drunk and fell in a ditch for 4 or 5 hours. So I actually
been.
think that when we get there, to kind of reset us, what we really should do is the entire country should get drunk, fall down in a ditch, and then that'll just reset everything back to zero. Like that'll kind of like blow all the social conventions out of the way, and then we can get back to just
Having
whatever
said that, I
we
wonder
were
how
before.
it's
back to
gonna
life.
go, though. Like
Yeah.
what is
Yeah.
the reset and what's normal again?
That's a great question, Ken.
Don't know, right?
But
No
I
idea.
think it is going to be something like, when the Second World War, I mean, it left so many scars. One of them was that a lot of men had to go to the trenches, and women had to step up to take those roles that men couldn't
Yeah.
fulfill in the
Mhm.
economy. After the war, that never came back to be the same. So steadily, women became more of a more active part of the formal
The
economy,
workforce. Yeah.
and
Mhm.
that was a lasting effect. And I think about this economy, about this pandemic, when it subsides, it is going to leave some of those long-lasting effects
Yeah.
on life. So what is it going to be? I don't know. I think this is one of them.
Yeah.
The fact that we're going to be living a much larger proportion of our lives online.
Yeah.
For both
Shopping
work
probably
and
online,
shopping,
working online.
working online,
Yeah.
and behaviors and habits. Usually, these psychologists I've heard they say that it takes about 49 days. Some of them say 86 days to form, but we have been in this for 390 days or something like that.
Yeah.
And those habits, we don't even realize how deep they are now. I mean, we think that we're going to go back to something, and yes, we will go back, but it
Not
is
to
going
the
to be
same.
a very odd blend. And
I tell you right now, Peter, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Out
No,
here,
no.
again, you guys have no restrict. You guys have shitloads of restrictions, right?
Mhm.
Our grocery stores, the hardware stores, the mall, like everything's open, right? As soon as you go into a store, let's say like a superstore, Loblaws for you guys out east. As soon as you go into one of those stores and you see too many people, I don't know, man. I don't know if I want to be in here.
Mhm.
Like that whole mentality.
We do that now. Yeah,
It's
we do
already
that.
to
We
the
were
point.
doing
Like you go
that
to
before.
Costco and you're
Yeah.
thinking, oh, there's no line. That must mean it's got to be packed. And like you're doing all these dumb things where before,
Yeah.
no issue. But now all of a sudden,
Yeah.
that's too many people.
Yeah.
You know?
So I can tell you the last time that I ate in a restaurant was on a patio, and it was August 18th. And I know that because we hemmed and hawed about it, and then we ran away for like 3 days to Blue Mountain, just to hang out, the family,
Yeah.
the five of us, right? And we ate lunch on a patio at Blue Mountain, and I remember it because we were in the village, and we had lunch. We felt uncomfortable, and then when we finished lunch, we actually sat and waited because we were really uncomfortable where we were, but there were so many people walking around the village that it made us even more uncomfortable. And that was last August. That's the last
Seriously.
time that I've eaten out anywhere.
We went twice last month.
Yeah.
Twice on an
Yeah.
outdoor patio in April. And that's not
Yeah.
a lot. I mean, it's only 2 times, but
Yeah.
different. Like
Yeah,
even the country's different.
August 18th of 2020 is the last time we ate out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, it was February 14th of 2020.
Wow.
2020?
Yeah.
Holy
Yeah,
shit,
just
man.
before-
That's like
just
15
before
months.
Yeah. And we used to go every more or less, every three or 4 times a month.
Yeah.
Jesus.
We had a family or
Yeah.
date night with my wife,
Yeah.
and we used to
Yeah.
go out. I mean, we love food and we love to go out. But now,
Yeah.
when this blew up, then we haven't been out. So I don't know how I'm going to behave. I'm going to have to learn to behave again to go to a restaurant.
Won't matter. It's not like I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Maybe they're going to be packed. Maybe people are
Probably.
dying to get back out. Like, I mean, they're not the same now. I mean, again, because you guys don't have the experience, but it's weird, right? There's not like it's not jam packed like it used to be. That ambient noise that sort of made a restaurant hum and give you that buzz. That's sort of not
Yeah.
there anymore. It's different.
It is, yeah. And
I don't know if
the
it's good or
same
bad,
thing goes
it's
for
different.
bars and clubs,
Well, concerts. Are we going to get back to concerts?
yeah.
Plays, music.
I don't know. I don't think that those will be.
hard to
I
say.
think people will
Yeah.
eventually go back to some of those, but I don't think it's going to be as natural. It's going to be
I
more
don't know
of
if I
that
want to be in
sense
those
of-
seats that close to each other.
Yeah,
They're tight, eh? Like
yeah.
theaters and like movie theaters and play theaters, they're tight.
they're tight. And I think that it is going to be more reflective. I mean, we have lived in a world where that was free, right? That we were able to go and do and
Absolutely.
jump around. But our kids who are in these formative years, having spent a year and a half, 2 years behaving this way,
Mm.
that is
Yeah.
25% of their lives in some cases.
Mhm.
So they
on.
have learned that distancing is necessary. They have learned that getting together in crowds is not good. So I don't know, when they're like 20, will they go to concerts like we used to?
I'd be ashamed if they
Probably, but
didn't.
maybe not. Who knows?
Yeah.
It's going to be them who is going to be different. It's just like I was reading the other day how Facebook and Twitter, in terms of usage among teens, is really low. Like it has been
Yeah.
low for a long time, but it continues to decline. I wonder when these teens become adults, then where is Facebook and
When we go, it
are going
goes.
to be?
It's our age group and up that are the predominant users.
Yeah.
So it's already, in essence, it's already almost got a life cycle attached. It's like it's stamped now. So picture how the 50-year-old is and tack on the years, and that's how long it goes.
That's right. Yeah.
Right. Instagram is kind of got probably a little longer legs, but you're
Yeah.
probably TikTok. I don't understand the concept of TikTok. I don't care. I mean, I see people do it, but it definitely skews younger. They seem to like it.
So I actually have a funny story about that. I am because in my school years, I took English Lit and poli sci, and one of my former classmates is a teacher at a high school now, and she asked me if I would come and do a master class on poetry. So I said, no problem, I'll do it. And so I'm getting ready for that now. And what I realized, like, it's for a grade 12 class, right? So pre-uni English Lit class. And even in grade 12, the grade 12s are not a TikTok generation. Like, they're not a TikTok age group.
So who
it's
is it
actually
then?
younger than them.
It's
younger than
skews
them.
younger,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like grade 10 and below, right? And
Yes.
so when I was looking at, like, because I wanted to pick some more colloquial images that was, appropriate for their time, so I can, put a modern spin on, because poetry isn't just about Tennyson and Shakespeare and,
Yeah.
but I was looking at it going, oh, I had pulled some TikTok stuff and I went, no, this is actually too young for them. They're not going to.
So where are they
Right,
then?
like-
Like, is Snapchat pretty much dead? Is that dead?
Their Snap and
Snapchat is
Instagram
pretty
is grade
strong.
12. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's
Snapchat
probably
is
where they're
pretty good.
parked, right?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
know TikTok does seem to like that tween.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Seems to be
Yeah.
in there.
Yeah. Grade
Yeah.
12, I've seen a lot of, like with my son, for example, it's Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Instagram is like the
They
go-to.
Insta everything. Yeah.
Yeah, Insta everything. And then,
Interesting, eh?
yeah, that's the preferred one. So I guess that over the next 5 years, when they become adults, Instagram is going to be the new Facebook for quite some time. And then 15, 20 years, it's going to be maybe
Who knows?
Snapchat or TikTok.
And I think and
then whatever else
that
comes.
younger crowd has embraced an audio format as well. So I noticed like my 15-year-old and all of her friends are doing. They don't send each other DMs. They send audio messages. So they
Yes.
actually record themselves and then they send it, and then they
Exactly.
like it's almost like voicemails, but in
Yeah.
audio format, right? So they record something they want to say to each other, and then they just send it.
See, to me now,
And then on the
that's
other
bizarre
side,
to
they
me.
listen. Yeah.
See, the texting I get, because you know what texting does? It stops me from having to get into a long conversation or talk, right? So
Mhm.
if you're gonna voice text me, pick up the fucking phone. You may as well phone me. It's the same thing. You're wasting time talking.
not
Pick
same
it up. You
thing.
may as well just do the same.
It's not same because I can leave you a message. You can listen to it whenever you want.
Mhm.
Like a
Yeah, but
phone
who
thing
does
means
that?
I gotta put it up to my ear because they don't have that. They don't
I
put
get it.
things
Okay,
to
but
their
if someone
ear, right?
texts
Like
you-
all
if someone
those things
texts you,
are.
If someone
Yeah.
texts you, you got your phone in front of you. What do? You wait an hour and a half to respond? No, milliseconds.
Yeah.
So it's the same to me. That's what I'm getting at. Is
I
again,
know.
if it's the middle of the night, you want to leave me a voice, text,
Yeah.
email, same. I'm not picking up till the morning. But during the day, if you're voicemailing, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to be sitting there thinking, okay, I guess I got a voicemail and back. Send. I'm thinking. Then at that point, I'm going to yell at you. Phone me.
Well, you know,
Yeah.
there is an insight there, Kenny. I think that what they're avoiding is the direct contact.
Sure, they are.
Mhm.
So I think it is. Oh, I'm telling
No
you,
different than
I don't
us.
need to listen to you.
But
I
that's
don't
why
need
we
to-
text. Why do you text? You know why I text? I don't want to talk to you necessarily. I want to communicate with you, and I want to be. I've got things to tell you, but I just don't want to get caught into a 10 or 15 or 20-minute phone call. And that's Phil. That's how you and I do it because I know we can bang,
Yeah.
bang, 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 done.
Yeah.
Not that I don't want to talk to you. I like hearing your
Yeah.
voice, but I talked to you too much
Yeah.
this week anyway. But it's to compress
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
to compress time. And it's almost like the desire of I want to talk to you, I don't want to hear you.
I think I just
don't
think it's
have-
time. I do. I think you're thinking, oh fuck.
Yeah.
I don't.
I
20
don't know.
minutes.
A few years ago, Rogers had this feature on my phone that allowed. I don't know if you used it, but it was like maybe 10 years ago, where you could actually record your message and send it directly to
Yeah.
the voice
Yeah.
message, the voicemail
Yeah.
of people you wanted to talk to. And that was very convenient because if I wanted to say, like, for example, we're gonna have a party on Saturday, like, make sure you come. So I just recorded it once and sent it to 5-7 people.
Yeah.
Just send it. Yeah.
And then people say, what time did you call? Because it went straight to my voicemail. I don't
Exactly.
remember.
I didn't want to talk to you. I just wanted to
Yeah.
give you information. That's
So
all
I
needed.
did that. I had a boss that I never wanted to talk to, and that's what I did. And she
That's
could never.
awesome.
She was like, "My phone was on the whole time." I'm like, I don't know.
I
Just
don't know,
went
maybe
to
phone's not
voicemail.
working.
I-
You should tell us. Phone
Yeah.
calls.
I left you a voicemail. Just check the voicemail. Don't call me back. Just check the
Yeah.
voicemail. Like,
Just
That's
check-
funny. That's funny. And then there's people like me. I get people leave me voicemail, and I phone them back, and they say, "Did you listen to the voicemail?" I said, "No, I figured.
Yeah, I called you
whatever.
back.
I just phone you. What the hell?
yeah.
I don't want to have to go listen to the voicemail. Then I got to
Yeah.
phone you.
Yeah.
I just phone you.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Well, in today's world, you
Um,
know who's called. Why leave me a voicemail? I'm not going to listen to it.
Mhm.
I don't. I'm sorry. I just don't. I just phone you back or text you.
Yeah.
What?
So,
my God.
those are
tonight-
the behaviors that we're gonna carry with us
yeah, I
into-
guess so.
Oh my god.
post the pandemic.
It's-
Who knows how we're gonna be?
I don't know.
I mean, in 2 years from now, we're gonna see what we're gonna look like, but we're gonna look like a little different.
I think you're right. I don't think. Well, first off, to your point, the younger people, there is no normal to go back to, so it doesn't matter.
Mhm.
Doesn't
Even
matter.
for all of us, we're 15 months into this. We're not going to get out of this in the next month. Like, I think you guys are going to be locked down probably to at least the end of the month.
Yeah.
You're going to get extended. You know that. We probably
No,
are
no.
too.
At least I actually think so. We're beginning of May. I would say probably if we're lucky, end
May
of
30.
June.
Oh, really? You thinking of 2 more months?
I think it's end of June. Like
Oh.
we still have like high incidence and cases. We're just making our way through vaccines. Like, you're hearing stories of people in their 30s. My 18-year-old was able to get a shot, right? So, but we're in a hot spot. So I think there's at least another month before, let's say we get through first shots, and then you still got to get through second shots, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And then you go through the summer where
You
we're
know.
going to get lackadaisical because we're outside, transmissions
Well,
less.
with
get
first
complacent,
shots
and
only,
then
right? So
fall.
you hope that nothing happens with the
Right.
first shot that screws it all up, and we got to start
Right.
all over again, right? So,
Yeah.
Plus, we don't know how these shots are going to do with variants, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
It's all over the place now.
God
Yeah.
forbid that the variants get the better of us, because then we're back to
Okay.
zero.
Nope. Okay. I'm. Okay. So
Okay,
tonight.
that's the best ever. 18 minutes. 18. Usually it's about
No,
8, 9 minutes.
But no,
18 minutes.
we could have kept going because all of this is interesting. It's just like the variant and the second shot, all that, like it'll just take a dark turn here. So I'm gonna cut it off here. We have Peter Rodriguez back with us tonight, and Peter is the marketer extraordinaire. He if you don't recall, I'll put the episode link down below, and you should listen to the first episode. But Peter had some really great personal branding stuff that he was working on. Think about the way you talk about it's the pandemic. So it's a good time to be thinking about how you talk about yourself. And we're all going to need to learn to reintroduce ourselves when we
Good luck.
actually see people for real again. But Peter and I are part of we're two of a trio in a food group that we realized that we've been meeting as a threesome for like, I think it's 10 years now. Was it more?
It's around 15 years.
15 years.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's craziness. So we were meeting virtually as a threesome to celebrate eating, and Peter had some new developments that he's kind of brought to his stuff. So we said, come back on, man. Tell us what's going on. Show us what the deal is. So Peter.
Yeah, well, thank
Welcome
you.
back.
Thank you very much, Phil and Kenny. It is a pleasure to be at This Commerce Live again. It is amazing. I admire the work that you guys are doing. It's I think
Thank
it's always relevant. It's even more relevant in our times, and even more so in the pandemic times.
Yeah.
Because you're bringing themes and knowledge and insight to the industry that is highly needed. And I am honored to be one of your guests. I've seen how many guests that you've had in the last few months, and I'm honored to be on that list. So
You just
thank you
keep
so much for
talking
having me.
like that, my friend. You can come on as many
Yeah,
times as you like.
what are you doing
keep
next week?
buttering
You
up the
just
host
come
like
back?
that, buddy boy. You're a lifer.
Well, thank you. I am honored and I am delighted to be here. And I'm it's what I left the last time. I left very satisfied with our conversation because it felt like a lot of very smart chat. It's a chat,
Mhm.
but it's a very smart and it's engaging. It's fun, and it covers a lot of things that are both business and personal. And I think that that's what makes it distinctive, and it
Thank you.
makes it relatable. And I think that that's why I believe it has a ton of future, a great future
You left
ahead.
a very favorable impression as well. We've had a lot of comments. We get a lot of comments, right? Like we get a lot of like, "Hey, great show," but yours is one of those that we've heard quite a few times, right? Where people have said, "This is my favorite episode. I really
Well, you
love
even
this
spun
one."
it back that second time, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. And
Right?
then when we replayed you, because I just booked you back on, and then we had an opening because Kenny was sick with the
I got
COVID, and so we replayed your episode and got a fresh round of. This was my favorite episode. I really love this episode. So yeah.
That's amazing. Well, I am very glad to hear that, and delighted to share with you any new thoughts and insights that I have come
Mhm.
across in the last so many months. So I think that it's been about almost a year since the first one.
Mhm.
I think,
Is that long?
yeah, there was probably
I
was
think
in
longer than
July,
that, actually. I
longer
think
than that.
longer than that.
Oh, it was
Well,
Yeah.
fall.
I think it was before, just when the pandemic was about to start, or it was starting. So yeah, probably
Okay,
about
wow,
a
I
year.
thought it was in the fall. Jesus.
I don't know. It's.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
my
it's been
I'll
a
look
few
it up
months.
while you're talking, but
It's
I'm
funny.
fairly
It has been
sure
a
it's a
few
while
months.
ago, actually.
Yeah, but this is a fascinating thing. The more I learn about human behavior in the way that we introduce ourselves as professionals and as individuals, the more engaging and fascinating it becomes. And one of the reasons is because these are the things that it looks like a blind spot for most humans. We are very good at selling things that we sell for a living. Even if we're not in sales, we're always selling, but we forget about ourselves. We forget about how to introduce the value that we bring to society, to the world, to business. And that is almost like liability for most people. It stops not only the professional, but it also stops progression for a company. One of the latest insights that I have to share with you is that I had a great chat with a senior HR executive, and we were talking of a very large organization. I'm not going to mention it, the financial system, and they would say, well, I told them one of the ways that you can use branding is to quickly identify the potential of people and where they should go, because you're always having to deal with a ton of information about people in terms of the assets that they have, but not how to use them. And that is because it's not simplified in a way that you say, well, this individual is about this and fits perfectly in this career path or in this role. You have to figure it out by looking at skills and all of the traditional attribute route, as opposed to the branding route, which would make it much more simple and much more natural for both the candidate and the company. And I hadn't thought about that before that conversation, but it is true. It is when you have clear branding, it's not only the individual that benefits, but the organizations and customers and other people benefit because they know exactly what you're about. They know exactly how to think about you. And that has been one of the biggest learnings that has happened. And one of the things that I will be sharing with you is that this led in the fall to launching a new webinar. and also a new program. And the program, which is now live, is a 7-week program in which people can actually go through the steps themselves and get to brand themselves with the with the knowledge that the best brands in the world use in order to get to a positioning statement. And why is it 7 weeks? I figured out that this is something that you cannot do in overnight. You cannot say, I don't have a personal brand today, I'm going to have one tomorrow. No, it doesn't happen that way. And you, both of you know that in business, when you commission someone to develop a brand statement or create content, it takes time to get to good quality. And it's not different for your personal brand. You have to invest the time. And I have
Can I pause you there for a second?
Of course.
Because I think the three of us understand that, but I actually think that is a I'm surprised at how many times I trip over that when you're talking to brands, because it resonates in everything, right? Like, I mean, like I use this analogy a lot, but I think, when you get into things like Google ads, for example, right? So let's say you want to place a Google ad. Everyone says, well, what's the big deal, right? And the big deal isn't in the mechanics. Everybody can learn the mechanics, right? But Google says you only have 29 characters for your title. But if you're not tight on what you are and what you're trying to deliver, those are the longest 30 characters of your life, right? And so maybe it's good to pause there just for a second. Maybe like, so how come not overnight? Like what? Do you know what I mean? Like,
I get what
like
you're
why don't
saying.
we just throw everything in a microwave and figure it out? Like, why not overnight?
Well, I'm sorry, Kenny, you were going to say something.
No, I'm kind of with Phil. I'm just thinking, okay.
Well, the reality is because it has to be deep. And I don't know if you've heard me say that that anecdote of that guy who said in a letter, I apologize for not writing a short letter because I didn't have time. I didn't have time to do that. So I apologize for the long letter. So it is a lot easier to write a long letter and throw everything on the microwave.
Right.
And then you put the all of the responsibility of figuring out what you want to say on the receiver. And then they can make up any story they want. I mean, whatever you say, like if you say, let's say in the analogy of the letter, if it's a 10-page letter, they will pick and choose whatever they want. However, writing a 6-word headline is a lot more difficult because it has to be 3 things. It has to be, first of all, relevant. And to be relevant, you need to know what needs that you're talking to in the receiver. So that they say, oh, I care about this. This is something for me. Number 2, it has to be distinctive. And it has to be distinctive by elevating your attributes into benefits, something that I want to hear, something that I'm interested about. That resolves my big problem. And the last thing, it has to be purposeful. So it has to convey that energy that you bring to the table. And that's consistent with all of your acts. So I would say I would go beyond Google. It is not only 29 is way too long. No one has time for 29 words. Tell me about you in 6 words. And that will make me pay attention. That will make me tell you, wait a minute, Phil, tell me more. And if you get that response from me as an audience, tell me more, then that is gold for you, because then I've opened my mind to letting you plant the seeds that you want in my head.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why it is, I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, 29 words is
characters.
A very
30 characters. Yeah, 30
characters. Okay, so that 30 characters.
So roughly 6 words.
It's
6 very small words.
Yeah. 6 small words. And that, but those are the big things. I remember one of the big brands that positions themselves, and they have tremendous R&D. I think you've heard me talk about how much I admire Tide. Tide as a product is a fantastic product, great R&D. It's one of the best products on the planet to clean stuff. Do they ever talk to you about that? No. It's basically the message is if it has to be clean, it has to be Tide. And then they own that space of Tide, clean Tide. And then the whole story comes after that. So ask yourself, what is your version of if it has to be clean, it has to be Tide? Something that will not let me forget you, that will not let me confuse who you are, get confused about who you are in a sea of sameness. Because that's also another reality. And in the pandemic, that's another insight that I found since we last talked. During this time, people lost track of how to do that even more so online. So I've had, I don't know, countless, just like yourselves, I've had countless meetings on Zoom. And every time you get to know new people, you cannot remember what they're about. Because first of all, you've lost a lot of the physical elements like the body language that you would see in person. So that's gone. So you cannot relate to that in order to attach it to that person. And if that person says, well, tell me about yourself, and that person starts going, I've done, I've been, I had, I did, and all of that story, you don't know what to pick from that. You just say, well, the guy with the blue shirt, and who talked too much, and that's about it. So in these times, getting to those 29 characters or 6 words has become so much more critical, and people do not know how to do that. People are sometimes forgotten, and they don't get what they want, because it is not only about getting a job, it is about getting a contract, it's about upselling a client, it is about getting a promotion, and it's maybe about switching gears from one industry to another, it is about negotiating your next mortgage. It's everything people make decisions on an emotional basis, and they immediately say, well, am I going to give these resources to A or B? Well, they're going to give it to the people who are most relevant and more distinctive to them. So it's a pretty serious stuff. So that's another insight that I found over the last few months, that people forgot about that in the pandemic. And Zoom etiquette, suffered. You would see how many people would get into a kind of like a formal meeting, and they completely forgot about how to project their personal brand through the new resources that we have. So it is that was a big aha for me, that in this world that we're going to have to live in, which is going to be highly digital, highly on screens, this becomes even more important, because people do not have the elements of physical interaction in order to be remembered and establish their personal brand. What have you guys found? And as you have talked to people in the industry, does this resonate with you guys?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. I think I think all of those things resonate, right? Like, you get into Zoom meetings, the ones that are the most compelling are people who are really clear about who they are and what they do. Like those are, you know what I mean? Like you two, right? I probably, today was one of those days. I think I sat through, I want to say 10 Zoom meetings today. Like in various stages, right? 20, 30 minutes. I think I was on with you for 90, Kenny, at one point, right? Like, so, but the ones that were the most memorable are the ones where they were super clear about who they are. They had a real sense of, the story stuck, right? I guess is probably the simplest way to explain it. The story stuck, right? Like that's an impression that, really
sometimes I just wonder, Peter, I don't know. I guess even as a species, are we wired for this though? Because I say that is, if you look at where we are in as an animal, right? Sort of in the food chain, right? Even how 9 months gestation, kids stay with us for a long time because we're relatively high in the food chain. Like you don't have to rush. You don't have to do things in minutes or milliseconds to sort of count. Do you know what I mean? A mistake you make you're not going to get eaten by a lion. You're not going to get eaten by a shark or another predator. You know, it's not like you're another animal where it's literally life or death. So I think we're probably wired to have 500 characters and a little time to tell the story. And it's very hard then to sort of flip all that psyche and now say, okay, you've got 29 characters, spit it out. And you're thinking, spit what out, man? I can't even say hello in 29 characters. And I think that's what probably is doing that. The other thing I find on this digital medium is that distraction is super high. You would never get away with the shit that we get away with on Zoom that we would have face to face. Like, you know, I'm walking around the kitchen, I can make lunch, I can make, you know, you're picking up your phone, you're doing other, you know, you can see people clicking away. I mean, we've seen enough videos, you forget pants, you forget, you know, it's shit that you just would never get away with in the old normal world. So I think this whole digital thing is like screwing with people. I think that's why people are so messed up in the last while. There's so many things that we've had to change so quickly, just the human contact.
You're absolutely right. I mean, you know, and I'm gonna just continue on that thought that you had, Kenny. Even when you're one-to-one, I noticed that the attention span is dropping. It's not declining, it's dropping. Sure. So if you think about 2000, the attention span that we had was around 20 seconds. Then time passed and it went down to 10 seconds very quickly within a decade. And then probably now, I mean, the latest numbers were 8. And I bet you that by now it must be close to 6. The digital environment is teaching us to consume things only in bits and then jump to the next thing. So this is
we don't do anymore, but we just
exactly.
And how do you make anything out of that?
Exactly. Well, and I found that is also true when you're meeting people in person. People keep looking at you, but they're checking out in their heads because they're going into something else in their mind.
Yeah.
So that's why it becomes even more important to capture their imagination.
Yeah, you've got no choice. You got to capture it fast.
Attention,
yeah.
So that it's like grabbing a hook, so that they say, "Tell me more. That's interesting. Tell me more," and that gives you the opportunity to go to the story. So I think that the way that we were wired, and to your point, I mean, it was like go to the big story and then synthesize it at the end, and this is the morale of the story.
Right.
That unfortunately doesn't work that way anymore. You have to say the big headline that catches your attention and your imagination, your curiosity, and then you can serve them everything, anything.
Right.
I mean, it can go as far as you want. However, it will not get anywhere if it doesn't carve a little niche in their psyche.
Yeah.
And I think that that's what branding is about these days. And it's a new currency. And I was having a chat with also a business leader today. Is the currency today is not your resume. Your resume is only a spec sheet. It's almost like wanting to buy a TV set, beautiful TV set, out of the spec sheet only. And in reality, you buy it because of how sexy it is, how interesting it is going to look in my.
Everything else, right?
It's going to make me look great. I'm going to feel fantastic when I see that on my wall or whatever it is. And then only then you go into the spec sheet and maybe you say, yeah, sure, it's 4K, 8K, whatever. I mean, it looks amazing. That's all you want. So it's talking to the benefit. That mindset is the same mindset that personal brands that are successful are able to do. They introduce themselves with a big idea in very few words, some images, and then you say, well, wait a minute, that's different. And that appeals to me. And then the story comes flowing. And that is something that relates directly to how our way of thinking has changed. The advertising world is in big has made many mistakes recently because we talk about ourselves, we talk about our products, we talk about our brands, but we don't talk about the benefits for people in a way that it's relevant and distinctive for them. So
Yeah.
you end up having a ton of content, a great story that doesn't go anywhere. Doesn't go anywhere. I was looking at the other day, I was having a chat with a gentleman, uh, because have you seen the ad for Volvo where Jean-Claude Van Damme does the big split between the two big traders? And
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic film. It's an amazing piece of film. But we were debating, is it a good ad? And I say no. It is not a good ad. It is a fantastic thing you want to watch over and over because it's so mesmerizing.
But I haven't gone out and bought a Volvo because of it.
I can't remember who the car was.
Exactly. You don't remember what
Sorry,
the car was.
I don't. I see the Volvo. Oh yeah, Van Damme. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry,
and probably they
Yes.
knew that when they did some of their, the due diligence to see if it was tracking, because they had to insert the logo on the bottom right, and even like that you miss it because I mean Jean-Claude Van Damme is so mesmerizing that who's going to be caring about a logo?
Yeah.
So again, it is missing the opportunity to tell me what's in it for me. Why should I care about this brand? What is it, the big benefit it's giving me, in a way that I can tell my grandmother who is not going to buy it. So when you are able to say something so simple and say, hey, I'm going to tell my mom or my grandmother who is not a marketer, who is not in business, and I can clearly say it, then you have a good positioning. Then you have a good brand. And that leads me to another insight that I found recently. I was being asked, I was in a debate the other day about what is positioning. And I said, well, first of all, I don't like marketing mumbo jumbo. I like marketing, but I don't like to confuse people. So positioning, in essence, for me, is what you think about me when you hear my name. That's positioning. Or what you think about whatever brand when you hear the brand's name.
Mm-hmm.
That's all. The first thing that comes to mind, that's what's the positioning. So what do you want to be in people's minds as soon as they think about you? When they say Kenny, Kenny, ... Amazing ad. Big benefit. Can't live without Kenny. Yeah. Or, Phil. Phil, I mean, Phil. Oh, Phil, yes, ... Fantastic at X. That is the equity. And, that is an asset because it's a shortcut so that people immediately absorb everything you are and the value you bring. And I say it's an asset because it allows you to charge a premium price. It separates you from everybody else. You say, well, my fee is 25% above everybody else. No one is going to question that because you bring that perceived value from that emotionally charged idea that you say, of course, I'm going to pay more. I'm not even going to question it. I'll look at the specs later, but I'm going to pay a premium. I'm okay with that. I'm okay parting ways with my money for that thing, which is your
Do you
brand.
think, Peter, though, do you think this has been a part of, and I'll tell you where I'm going to go with this. I'm going to end up going sort of quasi-political. And just because it's sort of relevant, populism sort of starts these ways. Do you know what I mean? You pick small things, you MAGA, or you coin phrases and things like that. And what it is just, I think you sell shit, but you never sell a clear story. Do you know what I'm trying to say? I'm getting at is that I think it's sad in some ways that if it goes too far this way, is that the context, it's really hard. Like if someone said to me, to describe a great leader, I don't know who a great leader, say Gandhi. Let's say Gandhi was a great leader. You could probably spit Gandhi out in, like you said, 5 or 6 words to get me enticed to want more. The challenge is with people who are enticed, in my opinion, like sort of 4 or 5 words, is I don't know how long I've got them. Like if I have to work that hard for the first 5 or 6 seconds, because you're right. I don't think we have 6 seconds anymore. Like you have 5 seconds, man. Like you spend so much time trying to find the hook, which is critical, especially as marketers. I my degree is in marketing too, and I love the aspect of it. I just see it sometimes spin out how it's spinning in society as a whole. Never mind just as we talk without nefarious intent. Like, we're talking about this to grow our brand, but this has been used very recently for interesting plays.
Absolutely.
And done well, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Done very well.
Done very well. But it is all marketing. At the end of the day, it is
100%.
It's all about creating values, creating perceptions in other people's minds that benefit a brand. If you can create those values,
yeah,
and it sounds very harsh. I mean, how are you thinking about creating values in people's minds? But it is how we humans operate. I mean, we create.
It is. We just didn't have to worry about it in 5 seconds. Exactly. We had time. Yeah. Like you could sit down and have a cup of coffee, and by an hour later you think, I'm going to like this guy or don't. Now you're basically challenging us, all of us, in milliseconds to go. And you're thinking,
exactly.
Shit, man.
I want to add something, because it's something that I tell the students I teach as well. So like I think for readers, like it's pretty intense stuff, right? And if you're having some trouble with it, so one of the things that I do in my class is we go through their LinkedIn profiles. These are all graduates who are trying to find jobs. And usually when they come out of my LinkedIn session, most of them feel pretty down, right? Because I look at it, because I think you're bang on, right? Because what I say to them is, you got to think of your LinkedIn. One, almost no employer ever asks for a resume anymore, right? Like the first thing you do is your
LinkedIn, Facebook, whatever. We try to figure out who you are.
They try and figure out who you are. But when you go to LinkedIn, they're really like, LinkedIn is like a product page for you, right? So if you went to Amazon and you went to buy something, like in 5 seconds or less, you figured out whether that's the product for you or I'm going to keep shopping. And so that's what I say to all of them is, you have like 5 seconds, right? And then you have to figure out what goes above the fold, what goes below the fold. And then if you don't know who you are and you can't say it in the above the fold portion, you're screwed, right? And so the first things I go after is like that section. Everyone says the same thing, is like, I am a strong communicator, I'm a team player, and I I don't know, there's some other, and I said, why do you put that in there? You're actually better off just saying, I am looking for a customer service position, or I am a marketer and I'm really good at marketing. Like, you're better off doing that, because everybody says the same thing. So you have to figure out what's you and what you desire and how to communicate that. Which I think is where you're going with all this stuff. It's the same thing.
Like, but saying it quickly so that you get to the point quickly. So but I think where Peter's going is because the mindset now has changed so dramatically. You don't have time, because we've all learned to pick this stupid thing up, and we can scroll through 1,000 things. Where in the old days, you couldn't, like in a newspaper, you had to physically read spots. You kind of flip quickly. This is so fast. I'm picking up my phone, guys.
Yeah,
it's different, right? So you got to get
different.
You got to think about that person. I understand what you're saying, Peter. I guess maybe because I'm a little bit older too, and I'm thinking, man, it just seems like you got to spit so much out so quickly.
Yeah, but you know what? There is a flip side to that. Here's why there is there's a great opportunity in this new environment, and what it's called is frequency. In the old days, when we had to go through the whole story, you had a lot of depth, but you had very few opportunities for frequency, for repetition. Right. These days, the key is shorten the message.
Yeah, and more of them.
But repeat it many times. And now these digital things that we have in our hands allow us to have that world of repetition at barely any cost. So I'm gonna go back to what Phil was saying in terms of LinkedIn. It's fantastic, and I applaud that you're helping people do that, because you're actually creating this awareness about it. The way that I see that is that now you have to think about everyone as being in your funnel. And not everyone in the funnel is at the same level of understanding of your brand. At the very top, when people just hear your name, it's very important to have those 6 words be clear in their minds. This Kenny is about this, Phil is about that. And that is the first contact. Then, if that is powerful enough, then it will draw them into the funnel to the next level. So that they will get some attention. So the attention comes from ask me, tell me more, and then I will tell you more. Going back to the LinkedIn page. The LinkedIn page is a missed opportunity for so many people because people do not realize that the first thing people see is your picture and your background picture. And that is a missed opportunity. We speak in pictures. In those images, if there is no clear personal brand behind it, there is no strategy behind it, you're going to pick up a random image that is not going to represent you.
Right.
So, for example, if there is someone who is about building great relationships for people, someone who spans networks, this is a personal brand I recently helped someone build. This person is about building new connections and regaining lost business. So the imagery of this person on LinkedIn was saying nothing about that. There were no icons, and the importance of the strategy behind the icon and the code is important. So one important thing that I didn't talk about last time is this dichotomy. There has to be a strategy in which you say, this is my positioning and my unique value proposition, but you don't serve that to people because it's not digested. People will just go, huh? What is that? Mm-hmm. It has to be in consumer terms, it has to be in their language. It has to be something that they, again, can tell their grandmother and make it easy for her to understand it. And I'm just making that as an exaggeration for someone who would not be a marketer and who couldn't care less about what marketers do, like my grandmother. But the essence is, if you can do that, then you speak in codes, both verbal codes and graphical visual codes.
Yeah.
The verbal codes are the 6 words. The 6 words is one of the codes, but you may have like 20, 30, 40 codes that you use, and you will be using them in your content all the time. Again, Kenny, with repetition.
Yeah.
Repetition
is the key.
Is the key. So
it's the key.
And for example, LinkedIn offers a fantastic opportunity to start with. If you have your 20 codes, if you've done the due diligence to have your brand, your personal brand done, you would have a page. Like I teach people how to do a page of verbal codes that you can start your posts on LinkedIn and get the repetition that you need. So instead of trying so hard to get all of the story in one page, then you repeat the codes over and over and over again. Like this person,
I love
in this
that.
Case, I mean,
yeah,
he
like in marketing terms,
networks.
That's your branding statement, and that's your SEO, your keyword, all of it.
Exactly. Yeah. You got it. That SEO, those keywords have to come from the strategy. If they come from the strategy, they give you the chance to do repetition and frequency. And then the only thing you need is reach. I mean, just think in immediate terms. And LinkedIn gives you the reach. Facebook gives you the reach. Instagram gives you the reach. I mean, the world is your oyster.
Yeah.
Because but it has to start with the strategy. And that's what people need to invest a little time doing. It is not hard. It is just a little work.
It's critical though, you guys. It's your point. Like if you go on LinkedIn, the first thing you do, you're a go-getter and there's a picture of a pond with still water. You think, well, that's not much of a go-getter. That's a very relaxed person. So that doesn't fit. Exactly. Looking for opportunities. Okay. So you're a loser and unemployed. Yeah. Not that you are, because I don't know what you're doing and you could be a very nice person, but you're not telling me that. Exactly. You've got those milliseconds. You got a name, you got a picture, and you get the little bit underneath.
Yeah.
Right. And not mine needs cleanup too. Mine probably should go back to what I think Phil coined for me. What was it? Passionate about retail. That's it. That's it. Just say that. That's it.
Yeah.
They want to know more. Then ring it up, because at the end of the day, worked for boring. I don't give a shit. You
Yeah.
and everybody else.
Exactly.
You and everybody else.
It probably took me, I think if I measured in episodes, I think it was like episode 75 or 80 before I figured that out about you. Right? So it's not thrown in a
You know why?
microwave.
Because you don't
and,
spend enough
like,
time with
episode
me.
1 to
you
2.
don't want to get
and I
deep
figured
into
out
me,
what
Phil.
Kenny was, right?
Yeah,
What's
so
that?
that's 75 episodes. What kind of friend are you? Like, you're not even trying to, you're not even trying to learn anything about it. It takes you 75
Listen,
episodes.
it's only
Holy
5
shit,
seconds an
man.
episode.
Oh my
Like,
God. We're an hour.
only
That's
paid attention
75
for 5
hours.
seconds. You heard Peter. It's like 5 seconds or 3 seconds.
People get married and have
80
kids within
episodes, right?
75
Like-
hours.
Well, that, but that you're not alone. That happens to all of us.
Yeah.
Like, you should have seen my first position in statement. It was like, I don't know, 3 pages. That was
Well,
horrible.
we're all like that.
Look,
Again, there's
Yeah.
been some good. This is why I bring them up a lot, because I'm not a fan of it. So I know the world knows that. But Trump was a brilliant marketer in the sense that it was MAGA. He repeated some things over short, nothing complicated, and it related to the masses. Now, again, then you start digging, there's not much in the pool. There's other people who've done it the other way. They've had the same concept, but once you start going in the pool, you're thinking, holy shit, man, this is a pretty cool place to be.
mhm.
Like, this person's got some depth, and I really could be super interested about this. But if you don't catch me, right, and there's so many people on LinkedIn, I'm sure that if I had read or taken a little more time, that probably would be some really nice people to meet. But picture didn't look good or didn't match the name, the face, and whatever.
Yeah, but
That's sad,
that's a
right?
great point. That example is great. And can I go back to the example of Kenny and Phil? I mean, if you say, what would have happened if in episode 1, or when you guys first met, Kenny would have said, "Hey, Phil, this is Kenny. I put fire under the retail's belly." And you would say, "What? Why do you say that?" Well, that takes you to say, "Tell me more."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that puts a lot of interest in saying, okay, you put some fire in retail, and if I didn't get anything, you say you put something powerful in retail. Why? Oh, because you're passionate. So again, you don't have to say, maybe in your position statement you say, I am passionate about retail. Yeah, that's your position statement, and this will be one of the codes. And there may be many. I'm just
Yeah.
made one up right now, but
Mhm.
I make retail come to life. I put passion back in
See,
retail.
but I'm with you. See, when I see people say that on LinkedIn, let's say I see, but the picture's now got to match, right? Again, back to visual. If it looks good, I do start creeping people that way, because I'm kind of compelled now. I'm thinking, well, that's interesting,
Mhm.
right? And again, it's not even. I probably on a more subconscious level. Like, sometimes I read them because I'm conscious. I'm thinking, wow, you did a piss poor job selling yourself. I really just want to see if you're more than that.
Yeah.
And a lot of times you'll dig in and think, you know what, you are more than this, but you're really not going to get too far, because I'm doing this now
see
because I
it
feel
in-
bad. I'm not doing it because I'm interested. I'm almost doing it to see that, I mean, fuck, are you really not this good? And yet you turn out to be a rock star. Well, it's hard, right? You're selling a Ferrari engine, but you're looking like a Toyota.
Exactly.
It's not going to work for me, right, man? You gotta.
I feel it every time. Like, it's actually a bit of pressure, right? But when I put out the episodes every week, right? So every week
Yeah.
I do the production for the episode on Monday night, and I put the episode out, and then Tuesday I do the LinkedIn or the socials for it, right? And depending on how I write the LinkedIn bit, it drives listenership up and down. Like when I've written just a rock solid,
I think we all
intro
do,
on-
because even I share those more quickly. Again, it's sometimes probably on a subconscious level where
yeah,
I read
Yeah.
what you said and I thought, oh yeah, he hit that. Like, that's spot on.
yeah.
Like, that's an easy share,
Yeah.
right? And others,
Yeah.
you'll think he said it right, but it wasn't. And not you,
You
specifically.
lazy ass. You should
Hey,
have spent like-
listen, this relationship was built that way. This relationship, we knew from the
but-
beginning that you were the podcast responsible.
No. But
not
the
me.
truth is exactly that, right? Is if you're still struggling with how I don't think any of our listeners are, but if you are, you've got to be that interesting, right? Like you've got to find that, like, because really, like when I do write good episode headers, we get a lot of downloads.
Well, they
right? 'Cause people
resonate.
go, wait, what is that? That's so interesting. What is that all about, right? Like, and they're there,
Yeah,
right?
for
But
sure.
if I just said, the co-founder of whatever showed up, then people are like, oh, whatever.
Peter
Like I see those
Rodriguez
titles all
of
the
this,
time,
this,
right?
and
So,
this, and this is on the show. You're
it's
thinking,
interesting. It's
who?
clickbaity. It's
who cares?
Yeah.
Right?
yeah,
Who cares?
like,
Yeah.
yeah.
And that's the point. I mean, people only care when it's relevant to them. And
Yeah.
it's only relevant when it's attached to a state of mind.
Yeah.
People, all of us all of us buy stuff and pay a premium if it fits a need state that's important to us.
Yeah.
And that is the first thing to figure out in order to deliver a personal brand message. Because if not, people will just not care. I mean, people don't have to listen to your story. People
No.
will want to your story as long as it benefits them.
Yeah.
It's all about me. It's all
Yeah.
about me. And that is missing, 90% of the time, in every time I talk to people who I advise or I counsel in terms of personal branding, because they say, well, I want to talk about me. I'm so great. I've done so much. My career is fantastic. I've done. Yeah, but no one cares about that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You have to convert that into a benefit that, attached to a relevant state of mind, will create that great synergistic attention to you. When people want more,
Yeah.
people want more and more and more. And you can do that. And people would say, the other day I had a good chat with a creative. Would say, well, Peter, I mean, you want me to create more content for personal brands, but I mean, we're gonna run out of ideas on how people can be different. And they said, well, you know what? You just gave me the answer not to work with you anymore, because you need to think much broader. You need to think about how unique how distinctive every person can be for a specific state of mind. And then the words and the images come. You can attach all of those codes that I talked about, and the images that you talked about, Kenny, to create that imagery, that belief that you are A, B, or C.
Right.
And I think that is something that we usually do not give ourselves credit for. There is every individual can learn, and we should all learn from an early stage in our careers how to do that, because the ability to create that belief, that value, that sets of values in someone else's mind is worth everything. It's going to give you open path for career progression.
Yeah.
It's going to give you new contracts. It's going to create bigger audiences for your podcast. It's going to be that thing that, as Phil said, I mean, if you promise something, if you go back to the best written headlines, you will find a common theme. They resonate with a need state that people want to hear. People want to hear about their problems, want to hear about their wants, their dreams, their aspirations. And here you come with an interesting conversation that is going to fuel those dreams, aspirations, and wants, instead of just serving up information. I mean, information and data is great as long as it is used for something that is interesting. And but that win-win mindset, that outcome-based thinking, is the one thing that we don't have. I didn't have that at the beginning, and I'm so glad that I found a way to figure that out, because at the end of the day, it's just looking at things from outside.
Yeah.
How is this going to be? And it's also losing, I mean, there will be people who will not like your brand. That's something that, another insight that I don't think I have talked about in the show.
Are you
Not us.
talking-
No. We're talking about brands, not Phil, not me and you. Other
No,
things.
not
Other
you.
things.
Peter?
With
That
brands.
was almost
Brands are
hurtful.
not universal, and that's in when we think about our personal brands, we are terrified not to be accepted by some people. But you know what? We need to accept, just like any brand.
Yeah.
When you become the brand manager of your own brand, you accept that you're not going to be relevant to 100% of the audience, and that's perfectly fine. You will be, the best brands are to some extent polarizing. They're for A, but not for B.
Right.
There are Coke people and Pepsi people, and I mean, there's also some people who are cola drinkers. I mean, they're in the middle, but really, like hardcore, you get one or the other.
Yeah.
And they're talking to specific audiences. In the same way, your brand is going to appeal and resonate with all of those benefits that you bring to a certain group of people, and it's going to alienate other people. Now, it still has to be clear, just like the example that you mentioned, Kenny. Was it clear from a political standpoint of view? Absolutely, everybody
Absolutely.
could
It's
get it.
crystal. And it polarized, though, and like you said, you either bought it or you didn't.
Exactly.
And I think, absolutely.
Absolutely.
And you stay true to what you're saying, and you just go. It'll work.
And then you will have a following that will be loyal to you, that will go to the end of the planet.
Absolutely.
With you. And there will be people who want to push you out of the planet.
You know what, though?
But
you're right. But again, it's not, it's always hard to use those examples, but that is classic brand that's classic personal brand marketing. All of that.
Classic. Yeah.
A lot of those great leaders in the world, that's what they did. I mean, some did it in a different manner, but that was sold. That was a sell job, good or bad. Doesn't matter. It's not relevant. I mean, I know how I bought it, but that's my business. And he wasn't after me, and he knows he's not going to get me, so he doesn't care about me.
Yeah.
And vice versa. It's not the big deal. Like you said, Peter, not everybody has to like the brand. Phil and I've talked about that. We try to do the podcast true to who we are.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't like it, you have a choice. You don't have to listen to it.
Mm-hmm.
And we try to bring guests on that challenge it, but typically they're going to be probably in the same wheels, because that's human nature too, right? We don't like confrontation as an animal. We like to be around like people, like-minded, like thinking, because that's just human nature. I mean, why do you want to be in an adversarial position? Or it's not fun, right?
Right.
It's good for you once in a while.
Yeah. But and I think that at the same time, when you are running the brand, then you are looking for the broader need state that you can talk to, because that way you have volume and you have critical mass.
Yeah.
So it's it's a game of choosing the biggest need state, but not universal. It has to be as big as possible to create a good business.
Yes.
But not undefined to a point that you're nothing for no one. You're like no vanilla ice cream here. I mean, you have to be something so that people say, yes, that resonates. Oh, I hate that, but I understand it.
Yeah.
And that's the important thing. It has to understand. Now, one thing that I've also, another insight that I want to share with you is I've always believed in the ethics of this, because this is a very powerful thing that I'm teaching now. It goes deep into the psyche of people, and it works. Like advertising, that's why it works. That's why it can create habits. And good advertising, good marketing gets into creating habits. And look at all the habits that it has created, good and bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now we brush our teeth thanks to marketing.
Yeah.
I mean, in the 40s and 50s, in the last century. Now, tons of people die because of smoking. Yeah, because also created. So it's not good or bad, but the ethics around how to use this are very important. And I'm always reminding people, this is something that is like a screwdriver. You can use it for the best or for the worst.
Right.
And it's very important to know, because the same principles that I show people how to build brands can create someone who actually is followed for a lot of good, but the exact same principles can steer people to follow people to do things that are not great. And that is also another insight that I have found. And we do not realize that it has a huge power, because when you get to those verbal codes or the visual codes that identify you with a desired state of mind, that brand becomes an entity on itself. Then you have to just make sure you nurture it, you make it grow, and then you see everyone in the funnel. Are they at an awareness state? What do I need to give them? Frequency, simplification, clarity. That's what you serve them. Where are they? Are they in the in the attention mode? Great. Now you give them elements to believe in you, reasons to believe, and you keep repeating the first thing that you said, the first 6 or 7 words, because I. One of the most powerful words in the English language, besides please and thank you, guess what it is? I found that it is because. When you introduce the word because, people say, oh, okay. Yeah, I get it. May disagree with it, but okay. Yeah. Now I see what you say that. I am the passion behind retail because ... And then I say, oh, I see what you mean. So then if you're at that level, then you introduce a lot of because, and that gives you a ton of material to go into repetition to the 4 or 5 seconds that we have been talking about. You go into LinkedIn, you're going to your social networks, and you keep just throwing out the because I after you say your 6 words, and then all the rest of the content. By usually it takes about 10 views of your statement until people get it. Oh, okay. I see. And if it is supported by a strong because I, and that is relevant to your need states, then it starts taking hold. So it's like a seed. It has to create that, positive reinforcement. And the reinforcement comes by repetition and by being truth. I mean, you need to be authentic. And that's why when I teach people how to do their brand, I go to the depth of where they come from, who they are, what is it really valuable for them, because you cannot go in the funnel if you don't have a strong foundation.
Yeah.
Because after the first because, you need to have a ton of more becauses. And if there is no strong foundation, there will not be credibility, there will not be authenticity, and it's going to be lost. And then if you go deeper, your audience now is in the mode of interest. Oh, this is interesting for me. This is going to be valuable for my life, for my needs. Then what do? You serve them with more the content that you have, which is other benefits. My main benefit is A, but I have like 7 other benefits attached to that. And all of them are relevant to you because you are in the same need state. So you keep going deeper and deeper. And then magically, people are open to hearing not only 6 words, but then it's 30 seconds and 2 hours, and then as many pieces of content you serve them. And then the last piece would be in action. So what action you want them to take. By that time, they know, first of all, that you are authentic, that you are relevant, that you're distinctive. Now you're asking them to go with you places, to do things, to buy stuff, to do whatever it is. But then at that point, people have put their guards down. They are already listening to you. You're part of the repertoire of voices in their minds. And that is important. You will not be able to sell anything until you are part of someone's voice repertoire in their head. What does Kenny say? What does Phil say? Oh, like Phil and Kenny said, that's right. I'm going to go and do this. Mm-hmm. Maybe they have a point of view. I should call them. And that's when you go to action. And then go back into, you did all that. Yeah. Because I am the top 6 words. And that creates that momentum behind the brand. So it is not really that difficult. I mean, I'm just talking about the models that have been written like decades before I was born, but people forget about the power of those things. And
they're also more relevant now, Peter, too. The time is different. The time is different. And this last 15 months has even moved it fast. We were all going to an online digital world. We were already there for a large part, but we all agree with that. But COVID definitively spiked it hard.
Yes.
It changed retail in a matter of 15 months. It really did. Well, in a matter of a couple of weeks, it changed it, but it sustained is my point. It has changed retail. It has changed how we meet. it has changed how we will go to work in the fall or next year,
Yeah.
right? Not for everybody and not completely, but definitively there's change.
Absolutely will not be the same. And I think that there will be new winners and new losers.
For sure. As in anything.
One of the biggest examples I remember is that going into this new world, there are some examples that you say, how could they have missed that? For example, one of them is Blockbuster. Remember Blockbuster?
Did you watch it? You should watch. If you watch the, you watching Netflix on it?
No.
There's a called The Last Blockbuster.
The last. Okay,
Honestly, it's fantastic.
I'm gonna go and watch it.
It's so good.
It's quite
really,
relevant.
I loved it. Loved it.
Yeah.
It was nostalgic, and it tells the story. You're thinking, geez, they had the world,
They had the world, but they couldn't express themselves. What was the benefit in the digital world? And it's not because they couldn't. It's because they were defining themselves to a point as a product, as a service, instead of a brand. They were defining themselves, this is the fantastic product that we offer. It's a great product. Well, as long as you do that, no one cares about product. They want benefits. And the benefit of entertainment whenever I want it was captured by Netflix.
Yeah.
A much smaller player at the time, but they understood that was the driver. That was the relevance and distinctiveness that that people had in mind. And no matter how big a brick and mortar player can be, when they go online, if they want to wear the same suit, they can't, because you need to translate benefits, not products.
Right.
And the benefit can go. The same thing happened to Kodak. Kodak, way back when, they were like they defined their business as selling film. That was not, and then when they wanted to jump into we create memories and blah, blah, blah. Well, the reality is that there was something that was, had left the station, which was the, democratization of imagery. Everyone can have imagery. That was really what people were reacting to. Yeah. I want to take, I want to have images of me, of my life, or whatever. Anytime.
That's so funny. Two examples, buddy. Blockbuster could have bought Netflix, and Kodak was the founder of digital.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what's the worst? They had a patent for the digital camera.
Kodak was the first one.
Kodak was the first one.
I was actually looking at a Kodak edition to my old Nikon. I could have converted my Nikon into a digital camera.
There you go. But it is a matter of how you think about the brand and where it lives. The brand doesn't live on a shelf. It doesn't live on a book. It doesn't live on a brand guide. It lives in the minds of people that you want to influence. If you have that space for you, then you have equity, you have an asset, but it lives there. And it's up to you to manage it. One of the biggest mistakes that people are making these days, marketers, my fellow marketers that I love and respect, one of the biggest mistakes is say, we're not the owners of the brand. It is the consumer who is the owner of the brand. And by the way, they own it on social media. So let's give them the power and blah, blah, blah. So you've heard that many times.
Who says that?
Who says that?
Almost no one. But I want to give you an example.
Jesus.
Yeah. Pulling my
Peter's
leg.
like, the names of these people have been changed to protect their
identities.
Let's allow me to throw in some names now, and you can edit them out if you want.
Last section, and then we'll close it off. Otherwise, we'll lose.
You know what? We're back to the food topic. I'm hungry.
Yeah. I will be very short. For example,
you're coming back anyways. It doesn't matter.
You're coming back.
Yeah, I like talking to you, so I don't give a shit. You can take it long. We'll
sorry.
Next time. Relax.
Don't worry. You're fine. You're fine. Really.
You have to pull the reins on me because you give me the microphone.
No, baby. If we didn't want you on, we would have pulled the reins in already. So don't you worry about it.
But I think it's so important. The point that I'm going to make is that you should never surrender the control of your brand. And that goes for personal brands. It goes for everybody. Now, for example, you probably saw a lot of news coverage about the new cold coffee from Tim Hortons, and it's on the news all over the place. The idea was, we cannot describe it. Now it's over to you, Mr. Consumer, Mr. or Mrs. Consumer, describe it. And it blew up. People were describing the product and everything that they probably didn't like about the product, and that reflected some of the emotion that has been going around for Tim Hortons in the last few months. That is something in my mind that you should never do. You tell people, you teach people how to think about the brand. You don't leave it into the consumer's hands to define it. That's a marketer's job. It's not a consumer's job. It's just like innovation. You should never leave innovation in the hands of consumers, because what are they going to do? I mean, they're not innovators. They're not creators. They can tell you what they hate about what they have, what the gaps are, and that inspires you to create innovation. So the same thing when you're asking people to define a brand or a product or an extension. You define it for them. And if it is not relevant or distinctive, they'll throw it away. But if you do it right, they will love it, they will try it, they will adopt it. So there are tons of examples like that now. And I take it now for the personal brand. You should never let other people define your brand. You are the one in control. You're the one who sends the message. You're the one who owns the codes. You put them out there. Some people will love them. Some people will hate them. But if they're properly done based on a good strategy, they will resonate and you will have a powerful brand. And I'm going to stop it. I'm going to let Phil pull me out of the...
For the next episode with Peter...
The next episode, you're coming back. Seriously.
Absolutely. I enjoy these talks. I like it. I find it interesting, and it's just good conversation. It's relevant. Really, it's relevant right now. So I mean, it's good.
Yeah, very, very relevant.
I enjoy it.
Yeah. No, well, thank you very much for having me. If you allow me, Phil and Kenny, I would love to just tell you that now the new destination for learning more about personal branding in Brand Me is precisely called Brand Me, Brand MI. Not Brand ME, brandmi.ca. Okay. So you were interested in learning more how to do it for yourself. And I am democratizing marketing for people. So anyone, all of us can do it. And I guess the start would be there.
Very cool.
I'm going to do one more thing. I'm fairly sure that she will want to meet you. One of the most consistent people who sound off about your episodes is a woman by the name of Taz Latifi. She runs Petropolis. She's been on the show before. She's a wonderful, wonderful lady, and she loves your stuff. So Taz Latifi, consider yourself introduced to Peter Rodriguez.
Hello, Taz.
Reach out. He doesn't bite. And
no, she's wonderful,
amazing dude. So anyway. But thank you so much. I'll make sure I put the link to Brand Me in the show notes, and then we'll
share away next week when it's out.
Thank you, guys. And anytime, I am delighted to be a guest.
I like it. I mean, Peter, I think I like it. I enjoy the conversation because it's interesting. It's fun to talk about, fun to listen to. It's good, man.
I think what would be cool is if you came back on when we start opening up again. I think it would be an interesting time to come back on again, because I think honestly all of this stuff is very relevant, and like in the US, markets are starting to open up, people are starting to move around again, and here in Canada, I don't know, hopefully in hopefully I'm wrong, and in a couple of weeks we're moving around again. But if not, and in a month or two,
it's not that much longer. I mean, it's going to be different up here versus down there. You know that,
dude. We haven't even eaten out in the like.
Yeah. Well,
August, what's the big deal, right? So what's the big deal? Another month or so. But anyway, Peter, thank you so much for joining
us. Thanks, Peter.
This
appreciate it.
Really amazing.
Thank you very much. Wish you all the best.
Thank you, man.
You too.
for the podcast. I'm sure you're going to be even way more successful than you have been so
I
far.
appreciate
Thank
that.
you for
Thank you.
having me.
Thanks,
Pleasure.
Peter.
Thank you, sir. Phil,
Yes, sir.
I am going to go eat. I'm a hungry
You
boy.
should. You should go eat.
My tummy's grumbling. My tummy is grumbling.
Okay, go eat.
Shut her down.
Okay, thank you so much, guys.
That's
Have a
good,
great
man.
night.
Thanks, Peter. Peter again. Regan,
care.
thanks for coming on. That was great.
Thank you very much.
Phil,
guys.
take care, buddy.
Bye.
Ciao,
Okay,
ciao.
take care.
Bye.
Bye, guys.